This is the Realize Your Wealth podcast by Aretec Wealth. We want you to be wealthy. We want you to feel wealthy. We want you to realize your wealth. All right, welcome to the Realize Your Wealth podcast. Looking forward to getting into things today. I'm here with Greg and Keeley, the Aretec Wealth team. We're going to be talking about partnerships, our business structure, who we work and collaborate with. We have my business partners and my life partner here, Keeley. So she's a very critical member to the team. So what's happening? We know you're running the business side of things, Keeley, but what's happening on the home front these days? Why don't we tell the audience?
Oh, yeah, I guess, it's going to be 7 years since we became parents. Connor's 7th birthday is around the corner, which is exciting. So we've got his birthday party at the Bubble coming up. So we're going to do some laser tag and some inflatables. And, and then, lots of birthday parties going on. It's going to be the school break soon. We've got parent-teacher interviews lined up. So lots of things to keep us busy.
This is what's going outside of business hours is.
But in terms of in business hours, my question for you, Keeley, is how, because obviously me, Will, and the team, we've all kind of worked together for years, and we kind of have the dynamic. So how is it kind of coming in, working with like a new set of people?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really like it. I'm enjoying it. Hopefully you guys are enjoying it as well, too.
It's going well, yeah. But there's also Courtney, Irene, Roman. Yeah. Like, you haven't worked with those guys before.
No, I know. Everybody is like all in, so attentive to detail. It's such a nice breath of fresh air to see. Everybody takes ownership over what they're doing, takes responsibility, and just it's a really nice experience.
It's a Navy SEAL team is what we call it.
SEAL Team 6.
There's 6 of us. So it's a Navy SEAL team, which is awesome. But
I couldn't actually figure out why you were buying me all those books at Christmas. Extreme Ownership. There's a couple of other ones, a couple of other good ones, and I all of these, analogies are now coming into play. SEAL team stories, things like that, and now I understand
it's all
why.
Coming together, yeah.
Well, that's how we
even this bear too.
Yeah, the polar bear. Yeah. So it's it's all part of the business. And that's how we want to operate. Is we get things done, and we're high performers, and we're high achievers for you and your money and your investments and your wealth, and that's really what it's all about. So today I think what we want to do is talk a little bit about the business structure and some of the partnerships we have, some of the service providers, just because that's a question that we've gotten a lot in the first few months of Aretec, and it sort of starts. I think the biggest one is that we have Fidelity as our custodian, our safekeeper, our guardian of assets, and for a whole host of reasons, Fidelity is incredibly safe. As safe, if not safer, than many of the large financial institutions. So, Fidelity is a huge part. Maybe Greg, you can elaborate on that a little bit.
Yeah, so I think what we want to get into when we talk about this private independent custodian is, what Fidelity is doing. All they're doing is holding clients' money, keeping it safe. Like what Will has said, it's really the Fort Knox in terms of, it's almost like a safety deposit box, right? Or a vault where they're not taking on any additional business risk. Like they're not doing any mergers and acquisitions. They're not loaning out money. All they're really doing is we're paying a fee and they're keeping money safe. So, it's a little bit of a different model, but I would almost say it's an enhanced model, or definitely is an enhanced model than what we were coming from.
And if we look too at what happened in the States over 10 years ago, the reasons that these registered investment advisor firms popped up and are so popular, and there's so many in the States right now, is because of what happened in the banking system in the U.S. back in 2008, 2009. There was a little bit of uncertainty in the system, and so people wanted to have their assets held away from the banking system because the banks weren't sure what was exactly on their balance sheets. Things were being marked to market. They didn't know what the actual fair market value of those assets, or as it turned out, not really worth anything. So all the subprime debt and stuff like that. So, now I think there's over 10,000 RIAs in the US. 20,000?
20,000, but it's a huge
It's a
huge
huge
part of the
market.
market where what those are private independent fiduciary wealth managers. So very much like Aretec, and that's now 30% of the U.S. market, where pre 08 09 it was maybe 5%, and Canada is maybe in the 5 to 10% range, and so we're a little bit behind the curve, which is not uncommon for Canada when it comes to major shifts and changes, but the space continues to grow. And part of the reason we chose Fidelity is for that Fort Knox aspect, that private independent custody is really the gold standard of safety, security, privacy, independence of your assets. And even there's CDIC, Canadian Investor Protection Fund. Fidelity is regulated by CIRO, all the safety, security regulations that you would typically see. But assets are not they're not part of Fidelity's balance sheet. They're not part of Aretec's balance sheet. They're not leveraged for other reasons. Fidelity just keeps your money safe. We pay a fee. That's our cost of doing business. And that's what we mean by that safety deposit box, that vault, that Fort Knox aspect. And Fidelity is backed by trillions of dollars globally. Of all the custodians in Canada, it's the only one that has that global aspect. It's private, so the likelihood of anything going wrong is so slim, incredibly slim. And assets are all creditor proof, creditor protected. It really is that gold standard of safety and security when it comes to your assets. And I would say Fidelity is a much more modern, technologically advanced custodian than a lot of the options that you see out there that, let's just say, are more dated in terms of their technology and what we're able to do, which we're going to get into. Not only do we have the absolute safest custodian that I could possibly imagine in Fidelity, but we have the most technologically advanced. So when it comes to things that we can layer on in our partnerships, when it comes to technology, our partnership with Purpose, all of that, we can have the best of the best when it comes to our tools, our technology, your investor experience. So that's kind of the next part of the story.
Yeah, and the one thing I just want to mention that, Will, you touched on is now, because we operate in an independent ecosystem, we're now able to go out into the market and effectively pick and choose who we want to partner with, who we want to collaborate with. So after our due diligence, like we ended up choosing Fidelity because we believed that was what was best for our clients and their money. And then similar with the other partnerships that we've created, we've gone out and handpicked them. So the next biggest one, I guess, would be Purpose.
Yeah, and so Purpose is founded by a very well-known Canadian financial services entrepreneur named Som Safe. And Som originally brought ETFs and Claymore investments to Canada, and he's been involved in a number of businesses, including Purpose, the larger group of companies, and even Wealthsimple. So he's a very forward-thinking Canadian entrepreneur, and I consider Som, he's an ally, he's a mentor, he's helping us in this business, and he has a similar vision to the wealth management space. Is that some of the other options out there are really the options of the past. Maybe they've been around for a couple hundred years, but they're much more dated business models. And what we're seeing globally is this movement towards private, independent fiduciary wealth managers, and we've seen it in the U.S., we've seen it in Europe, and now we're seeing it in Canada. And it is the future of wealth management. Advisors are working for their clients. Like, we work for you and you alone. There's no one else we work for. We're owners. We act like it at the end of the day, and we have a fiduciary duty and responsibility to do what's in your best interest as an investor for you and your family and your money. And it's just such a better business model where we have the freedom and flexibility to work for your best interest, what's best for you and you alone. And that's why you're seeing it grow across the world. That's why you're seeing it grow in Canada. And I'm someone, and so is Som, who is looking to the future of this business, not the past. And we can bring so much more value to investors by being in line in a future-oriented business. And that's a lot of what the partnership with Purpose is about, at least from a big picture. But there's a lot more I would say, nuance and detail in terms of what that partnership with purpose looks like.
Yeah, and what we can, or what Purpose offers us is the ability to plug into their technology, which the way that we characterize it's really kind of 2024 technology.
API.
Yeah, exactly. Keeley knows all the details. So Keeley, like there's programs that we have, Digit, which I know you've worked closely with, Conquest as well, which is basically technology that, as part of working with Purpose, we can plug into and deliver for clients.
That's right. Yeah. So Digit is our portfolio management software, and it's also the software that clients can log into online and see their portfolios. They can see performance on a daily basis. Maybe not always recommended, but they do have that ability now where we're not waiting for a month plus the lag to show performance to clients. It's actually something that's readily available at their fingertips, and it's also we can segregate out US dollar, Canadian dollar performance. We're just able to give a lot more context information to clients, a lot more transparency for clients because of that ability to have Digit now and being able to give that information to clients. There's also an app too, which is cool because clients can just download it on their iPhones or smartphones or whatever, and basically they can log in from anywhere and see how their portfolio is doing, and just give them a lot more information.
Yeah, and Digit, so that's what the client will see on their end, but that's also what we use for our own portfolio management.
For the trading. Yeah.
Right.
Much more advanced technology when it comes to things like risk analytics and performance attribution and probabilities and things like that. And it's like, when we have better tools and technology, we can make better decisions. Better tools and technology means better results. I mean, think of it even for yourself when you're looking at your own investments and you've got better visibility and clarity and transparency, and that's what a lot of the technology's about. So that's part of it. I would also say, one thing to note is that the partnership with Purpose is, we're part of an ecosystem of firms that, it's something like 15 or 20 firms or something like that, and close to $8 billion of AUM that's plugged in this platform. And what Advisor Solutions by Purpose really is a technology platform that we can, plug into work. So we're not going out and, looking at all these different technology providers and trying to make them all talk to each other. We're freed up to do our job as advisors, work for you, your money, your investments, and work hard for that. And frankly, we're more supported in this environment than I've ever felt before in my career. Even though we are an independent firm, we have more partnership, more collaboration, more teamwork than we've ever had before in this new world.
Well, that's an interesting distinction, because a lot of people, if they think independent, they think you're on your own, like you're by yourself, but it's actually quite the opposite. We're an independent firm, but we collaborate and work with many other firms where before we're just not able to do that. So we're actually more of a partnership. We're more unified than ever before.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and look, and there's lots of elements to that. Like there's the technology. We're getting a lot of business support. In general. I think one of the other things that's interesting is just the research, right, that we now have access to, that I personally feel is much more aligned and on point with my thinking. As a tactical asset manager, it's a much more green light, yellow light, red light aligned. Independent thinking. We have broader access to alternatives and due diligence and research around alternatives. So when the research you have is more aligned with your thinking and your philosophy and your portfolio, ultimately that leads to better results, better outcomes for clients. And at different times we have felt maybe a little bit misaligned with research, and here's a now a business model where not only through our partners in Purpose, but we've got lots of other research, whether it's Dorsey Wright, which is a Nasdaq Dorsey Wright, SA charts, FactSet. We can take and synthesize and distill all the investment research that's out there, think through it independently, and make much better decisions for clients for their investments. So it's a much better world when it comes to the investment research and options and abilities that we have here.
Yeah, and I think, Will, we've been using for a long time Dorsey Wright essay. So
Yeah.
we've been using for a long time this independent kind of research, this independent channel. But what this just adds is really like another layer onto that.
Yeah, and better, I would say, flexibility to use that research and actually implement it in a way that's going to benefit clients for, their bottom line results, their risk management, their returns. So we've got more of that flexibility or ability to actually implement it with our structure now. So all of that means, better results. But Digit is something, I mean, this is 2024 technology. Unfortunately, a lot of the technology, at other places is basically 1994 technology from when the internet was invented, and it's just been, slapped on here or stuck on there, a patch or an upgrade, and it's just not very good. And you think you're managing hundreds of millions or billions of dollars of client assets with 1994 technology. I mean, what kind of results do you think you're going to get? And I mean, Digit is a pretty, very, very new technology company, say in the last 5-7 years coming to Canada. It's Canadian, well known. We know we know them very well, and they're a partner of ours. But it's something that a lot of large financial institutions wouldn't invest in because it's something like $40,000 a head. So you think you have 1,000 advisors and support professionals and all of that. You're not going to spend 40, 50, $100 million on a technology investment. It's just not going to happen. Here at a smaller firm, we can do that. And so the higher end technology is much more appropriate for, I would say, boutique asset managers who have the ability to actually utilize it. So, again, when we have better partnerships, we have better tools, better technology. To me, it means better results for you as an investor. And so comes back to, we want you to be wealthy. We want you to feel wealthy. We want you to realize your wealth. That's what all our partnerships, all our teamwork, all our service providers are about. We're here working for you. We're here for you and your family. If you have friends, colleagues, anyone that we may be able to help, we're always happy to have the conversation. And we want you to realize your wealth. And remember, Aretec is a firm that's for Canadian families that don't want a good enough experience with their money, but an experience that's the best it can possibly be. So, thank you for joining us, everybody, and we'll be back with you next week.
Thanks.